Welcome to Milani Meditations. I decided to do this series of chats for my listeners about living consciously. Layered in with these chats still, I will continue to do my meditations for everybody. For this project, I wanted to choose a counterpart to ask questions of his choosing on behalf of the audience listening. He is a seeker of the divine as you are. He is a student of these teachings and a serious practitioner. My name is Milani. Also, I am inviting all my listeners to ask questions that you would like us to talk about in the next video, in the chats below, or on my Instagram page at Milani Meditation. So welcome everybody, and welcome to my friend Kadish. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, thank you. I'm excited for you to share some of the content and experiences that I've been blessed with working with you.
I chose you to ask questions in this first video to hopefully create a dialogue for the future videos. My hope here is to get more helpful content out other than just my meditations, and expand on living consciously and bring the meditations to our daily life.
My first question I would like to lead off is about you. Me and many of your viewers know who you are because we have been working with you and we have seen a lot of transformations. But for the listeners who only know you through the meditations, can you talk a little bit about why they should listen to this?
Okay, well, through a series of movements into my own journey, into elevated realities of love and light, I have been given certain blessings to share with others, a guidance to lead them to their own light, their peace, their joy, and help bring them into freedom they have been seeking. I can help guide one from something that is just an experience of the divine into the living daily reality of the divine life. I do these meditations as a small offering to the others that are not in my direct experience, so that they can receive the energy of what's behind the meditation. What's important to understand is about the energy that is behind things that we should be most interested in. What's the state of being that's behind the person cooking our food, or who we are in conversation with, or the state of being that is leading us in meditation? That's what tells the story. We share the energy, we consume it, and we live in it. Often we make it our own.
So what would you call yourself?
I often think that titles can mess things up. I am as you see me, I would say. That's the reality. What I say here today goes through a series of filters through all that is listening. They will make their own judgments and put up their own labels. I'm okay with this, whether I bring value to someone's life or they see me as just another guy who makes meditations. If one is going to raft down a very dangerous river, they would want a guide that has navigated through the choppy waters and knows the safest and most direct route so that it can be enjoyable. For now, let me just say that I've been given a roadmap to the inner soul. Special offerings such as vibrational healing, heart awakening, special abilities to transfer the experience of divine joy directly into someone. I often see, hear, and feel deeply from beings of love and light, and receive downloads of divine knowledge that are unique and specific for the ones that I am guiding. The vibrations that I make in my meditations are downloads from the divine and recorded so that others can attune to it. It may sound strange to some, but others will attune to it and also heal whatever is needed.
So how long and often do you meditate yourself?
So I started meditating when I was a child and carried it for about 40 years until present. I usually am in sitting meditation for at least 3 hours a day, but also I use means of chanting, reading, walking awareness, and observation. I would consider feeling awareness more powerful than anything we can do here to shift our reality into equanimity of our higher states of being so that it becomes a reality. Meditation is a masterful tool to successfully set ourselves up for the day. Realistically, we can't be sitting in meditation all day. So that's the importance of getting the right guidance to navigate through the rough waters. Because when one comes into their own peace, they could become like the eye of the hurricane. The water is smooth and peaceful. Although they can see the rough water all around them, destructive winds, they don't have to participate in them and play in the energy of it.
So what is feeling awareness?
I guess the question that I've been going over, what is awareness? Altogether. Awareness. People use the word awareness a lot. But if you go to the deeper thread of awareness, it's so much more. So what would you consider awareness?
I would say is being present.
Being present.
Being in the moment.
In the moment.
In the moment of now. That is true awareness. Now, I think there's different levels of it.
For sure. So, if that's the case, if it's being in the present, how often do you think one actually is in awareness?
I mean, judging by my own life, I would say it's only fragments of the day, and it's something that I think takes a lot of effort for a lot of people to be present in the moment. And I think we only get fragments of it.
So I would agree with you. Awareness on a grand level is the moment of now, the present moment. How are we looking at exactly what is happening right now? Feeling awareness is when we're aware of how we are feeling in this moment. In this moment. Not how we're going to feel if we go on a vacation. Like, we often do that from point A to point B. We're always looking ahead to a state of being that doesn't exist in the moment of now, in awareness. Or we're looking back in the past. Well, I didn't feel good when I did that before. So, that is not awareness. That's out of awareness because you're in the future or in the past. You're worried about something in the future, or you're looking forward to a state of being in the future, or we're in the past. So feeling awareness is being aware of how we are feeling now. If you are feeling sad in this moment and you acknowledge, I am sad, that's actually a beautiful moment because you are now in awareness and you are recognizing that I am being something right now. Because if you recognize the state of awareness that you are being something, then it's easier to shift it in the moment. So when you catch yourself in awareness of the moment, then you can get excited that you understood, that you caught yourself in awareness. Oh, I'm at that point right now. I'm at the point of all creation right now in awareness. That's exciting. I caught myself. I have gratitude for myself, for catching myself. Then gratitude begins to shift the energy because gratitude is a higher vibrational thought than sad. So if we can catch ourselves in awareness, we can begin to shift the energy of it in awareness.
So just through the act of recognizing that you're in that state of being, like, let's say you're annoyed.
Annoyed, that's a good one.
Yeah.
People get annoyed when somebody honks a horn at them.
Yeah.
That is not something that is happening to annoy us. Annoyance has to come from inside of us. Annoyance is not something that is given to us. Every state of being that exists is existing now. And we pull forth annoyance. Now, if a horn honks at you in the now, and you recognize the horn honking at you now, that's a loud scream from the divine. Hey, be in awareness. But we take it as a loud scream of annoyance. somebody who's angry at us and we lash back, we don't use it for what it's truly used for. Every situation in our life is a mirror. We're basically living in a house of mirrors. Every situation is trying to show us something. And it's trying to lead us to a higher state of being. It's trying to get us to recognize the lesson in the moment. That horn honk that annoyed you it is in the present moment because it happened. Instead of pausing and recognizing, hey, that was a loud message for me. What is there to look at in it? I recognized it in awareness. I understand like this is happening in awareness and it's trying to show me something. How can I react to this in a higher state of being? It has nothing to do with the person that's honking the horn. It's the message behind everything.
Yeah, I mean that's very profound. That's very profound. I mean it's like your emotions are actually a guidance system, if you can see it that way, of where you're at.
They are. They're leading us on a journey, and they're building our environment because we make real what we pay attention to, and our emotions are building it. Where are we? How are we looking at things? And how are we reacting to things? There's two rooted emotions, fear and love. And everything comes from that, the alpha and omega. So, how often are we in the emotions of the fear vein versus the love vein? The love vein creates world, the fear vein destroys worlds. Unfortunately, our world is mostly in the fear vein. And we're reacting to it. We're in a reactive state. We're not reacting from our highest state of being. We're not slowing down and going into our heart and allowing the divine to speak through our heart. We're not slowing down because you got to remember, we wanted to respond. We want to use words. We want to say things because that's the ego. The ego is loud. The heart is silent. So if you're saying a lot of words, you're probably in the ego. If you're thinking and lashing out, you're probably in the ego. If you're stopping, slowing down, contemplating things before spoken, you're in the heart.
Yeah, I mean, these teachings are very profound. I've been doing the feeling awareness for the last, I would say, maybe really like a month and a half or so. And when I really caught myself one day, I noticed it for the really first time. I was like, wow. I was like cooking something and I dropped, it was like an onion or something. And I went to go pick it up and I felt annoyance. Like I instantly felt annoyance. And I picked it up and I dropped it again. And then I realized I was being annoyed. And I was like, wow, this little thing, which is insignificant, dropping this piece of onion, made me annoyed. But then when I caught it and I realized that I was being annoyed, and I just appreciated that moment that I caught it, it shifted the energy completely. It lost, like, it didn't have power over me anymore, the annoyance.
Didn't have a hold on you.
It didn't have a hold on me.
And that's just it. I think everybody here would agree that this happens to everybody. We drop something on the floor, and we're like, ugh. And then we get annoyed that we dropped something because we have to bend over and pick it up. And then, have you ever dropped it again like Gadish did there and get more annoyed because we did it again? Because we don't slow down and become an awareness. Okay, everything is a mirror. Yeah. So I'm mirroring annoyance. So I'm looking at more annoyance because I got annoyed. Because I'm paying attention to the mirror of annoyance. Dropping the onion is a mirror. And we're looking at the mirror with annoyance. Although every emotion exists in it, we're choosing fear-based emotion. And so we put all our emotion towards that. And it reflects back more annoyance. And then what happens again? a lot of times.
You drop it again.
You drop it again. And then you're like, okay, all right, I'm going to carefully take this piece of onion. Now you're in awareness and you're catching on to something. And I'm going to set it into the trash or in the counter. I'm not going to drop this thing again. And then you successfully get it up there because then you become an awareness. Okay, now I'm paying attention. But the thing is, that little thing is, everything's like that. It's a house of mirrors. Everything is a lesson. And on each lesson, there is, on one end is the problem and one end is the solution. But the whole mirror has all of it available to you. And it's handed to you at the same time. The thing is, what we mostly go to is
the annoyance.
The problem.
Yeah, the problem.
The problem. That's how we are geared. That's what we are geared towards. Is heading to the problem.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's like anything else. It's like when we talk to people, we start complaining. Like, that's the first thing we usually start talking about.
We start talking about what's wrong.
What's wrong with the world?
What's wrong with the world? How come? What we often do is we start talking about how we don't feel well in a day, and then we start saying, I don't want to be here. We'll say work. We'll go to work, and we immediately wake up and we say, I don't want to go to work today. Immediately, you're starting a dialogue. You're starting your day off. I don't want to go to work today. I don't feel like it. Man, I'm gonna go through this again. So and so is not doing this. So and so is not doing this. I got to do that. There's so much work to do. All the way on the car, all the way to work, and then you're just sitting there talking about this reality that you're creating before you even get there. You're already created work as work. Not as a joy place, as work, as a terrible place. Then you get there with all the other people that are bringing that same mentality to work. And they're all coming together because most people don't want to be there because that's why we call it work. And then we start talking to everybody about how bad our day. How are you today? I'm okay. It's been better. And then you start talking about how things are not right with you. And you're creating a reality. Everything's mirroring right back to you, so it keeps getting worse and worse and worse. And then you live in that reality. And then you start to complain about the reality that you are creating. We start complaining about the reality that we are to others.
It's like you're just a victim of the circumstance at that point.
Well, then you start to blame others for your reality that you've created. They're the reason I don't feel well. It's my boss's it's his fault that I don't feel well. You're the reason I live in this reality that I do not like. It's got to be somebody else's fault.
Yeah, I mean, and that happens in relationships as well, right?
Oh, definitely in relationships, but that's a whole nother conversation. Relationships. We'll have to get into the relationships
for sure.
And another whole thing.
For sure. It's interesting how it's all mirroring back to you where you're at. And if you can just bring awareness to it and elevate your thoughts about it, it shifts the reality. And it's pretty amazing, actually. And it's simple.
It's more simple than we make it. We complicate things. And yes, we make real what we pay attention to. And that's what we need to start shifting, is how we are looking at things. We're so programmed into seeing the negative. I would say majority of the people I work with, how can we be positive in our day? How can we see things in the right way? It's kind of comical that I am telling people to be in a state of love and be in a state of joy. Get the state of being that you want to be in and try to be in that state of being first. It's not at point B. We're not moving from point A to point B. We're not trying to go get the emotion that you're looking for. Is not outside of you. It's inside of you. It's all there. But we think we have to get it in buying something or going on a vacation or go visit another state or country or going to the beach or something. It's not there. It's all here now. The state of being is here. And it's interesting to me and almost comical that I'm saying you just got to find the state of being and be it. And talk yourself into that instead of talking yourself into misery. And they're like, but how? How can I talk myself into love? How can I talk myself into happiness? But if I was to tell somebody, well, why don't you just talk yourself into a bad mood? That wouldn't be a problem.
It's pretty easy to do that.
Yeah, but I'm asking people to talk themselves into love and light. And it's like, oh my God, how? Do you hear what we're saying here? Like nobody, it's difficult for people.
But is it just because we're stuck in a program?
We're in this program. It's an illusion. It's ignorance. I'm not saying everybody's ignorant, but it is a state of ignorance. And in ignorance, there's suffering. And not living in our highest self and not reprogramming ourselves into that higher movement, we live in that ignorance. And then therefore, we're in much of our day, we're in a suffering. We're in a structure. And our days consist of how well things go. How well the structure goes. Everything consists of how well the structure goes would be determine my state of being today.
So yeah, if things go smooth, then you're like, I'm doing good.
Then the state of being is better. If I'm about to go on vacation, my state of being starts to elevate.
Well, yeah,
It depends on the structure.
Yeah.
Our state of being right now is dependent on the structure. Instead of getting the state of being that we always desired because it's there. It's there. Everything you ever felt is there. It exists right now in this moment at the point of all creation. Every emotion, everything that you've ever wanted is here now for your access to it. To get the state of being that you always wanted to be and talk yourself into that state of being and then start your day and then go on your vacation and then eat your food. Look how much better your vacation is, look how much better your day is, and look how much better your food tastes. You're trying to get a state of being from eating a meal. You're trying to get a state of being from being on vacation. That's why we're doing those things. We're trying to get them through structure, not realizing that the state of being already exists here, now.
Yeah. But I guess, well, my question is like, let's say you want abundance, but you're always in a state of lack. And you've always been in a state of lack.
Well, then you'll never have abundance because you got the mirror of lack.
So, how would you shift it in the moment then? Like, how would you shift lack to abundance in the moment? If you have this program running that's been...
Well, if you can't get there on the subject, because lack and abundance is a very concrete, in-your-face kind of thing. I either have the money or I don't have the money.
Yeah.
But it's also a vain love and fear. So if you can't get to the vibration of lack and abundance, you got to get to an emotion that you can get to. That's on the vibration of love. It really doesn't matter what vibration you're on as far as lack and abundance. Just get on a higher vibration and try to hold the vibration of love and light. Any of them. Joy, gratitude, peace. Any of these would work. If you can't get there on the subject, just get to a high vibration and see how much in a day that you can shift your vibration to a higher vibration. Because some people are trying to ask for money, but they're not convincing themselves that they have abundance. They can't get there on the subject.
Well, but I mean, that's like with the whole affirmations thing. And I think that you're talking about something different than an affirmation.
I'm talking about a state of being.
You're talking about a state of being. But I mean, there's all these teachings.
The divine is only concerned about your state of being. It could care less about what you're doing. What is your state of being right now? That's all your soul is after. Are you in a high, elevated state of being right now? In awareness. In awareness, what is, everybody who's listening, what is your state of being right now? You are in awareness because you are paying attention to it right now in this moment. Through this chat, you are now in awareness. What is my state of being? Understand what it is. This is feeling awareness. Oh, wow, this is my state of being right now. Now that you understand you're in awareness and then you're in a state of being, have gratitude that you are paying attention to it now and that you are in awareness. That is shift in energy because gratitude takes it out into a state of being of love. Gratitude is on the vein of love. And then you can just start to be grateful for everything that if you're driving your car, be grateful for what the landscape is. Find reasons to be grateful for things. Be grateful that you're driving a car. Be grateful that you're sitting in a chair. But it's just be grateful for the simple things that we have in our life.
Yeah, so what about taking it then to like, let's say you caught it, right? Let's say you caught, or I'll give an example. Like, let's say you caught annoyance, right? You caught it. You're like, all right, I'm being annoyed right now. And then you catch it, and then you say, I caught it. So you're grateful for it. So then that shifts the energy. What's the next step to even go further, I guess?
The next step is to go further. Just keep being grateful for things until gratitude becomes easy in the moment. Then you're starting to move into a higher, because the more gratitude you are bringing forth. So it doesn't have to be in gratitude. But gratitude is where we're going in this conversation. But so once you do one grateful thing, start to be grateful for everything around you, and that's going to shift your energy. You're going to feel your energy shift. Then you might move into a peaceful state of being. And then you start to say, oh man, I feel so peaceful. I'm peaceful. Look at the sky. Everything looks different. Wow, everything around me just became peaceful. And then peaceful might turn into joy. You might start laughing. You're like, wow, I didn't know I could feel this way. This is so joyful. Oh, I love this. Oh, now I'm in a state of love. I love this. I love me like this. And that's self-gratitude. I love me. I love me when I'm like this. Now you're in a state of love. And then you're going to start loving everything and everyone around you. And then you take yourself out of all those fear veins, and then we just kind of talk ourselves into these higher states of being. We work ourselves up. However we can work ourselves up. We can't always get from sad straight up to love. We have to kind of work our way up through awareness.
Wow, yeah, it's very profound. It's simple.
It's simple, but
Profound.
we complicate it.
Yeah.
We just have to do it until we can shift our awareness from the negative to the positive. How many times can you shift it in a day? Is it once, twice, 3 times? It might only be like once in a day that you caught one more moment of awareness, but that's one more than yesterday.
Yeah.
How many times can you do it in a day? And just keep going until it gets easy. Because it does get easy. It gets a lot easier to see and be in awareness.
And then eventually it just shifts.
And then eventually you just shift into it, and then, like me, I'm in a state of equanimity. I mean, it just feels good all the time. But that was a path that I just kept pushing away at. Just kept going and going and going. I was very persistent, to have the experiences that I've had. To realizations. And when you start to move into these heightened realizations, you start to realize, wow, I've heard that in a book so many times. Awareness. I've heard these things, but the reality is we don't know, because if we knew what we regurgitate things that we read and we say things, but unless you're living it, you don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know, because if you knew, you would be living it. There is no if, ands, and buts about it. You would be living it, because those things have got to click. Right now we're just listening to it.
So is another way to shift the thought pattern and higher emotions is through the I am as well, saying I am?
The I is what we call the ego. But let's be realistic. Everybody is pretty much in the ego.
Yeah.
So you can use the I until the I doesn't exist. You can talk yourself through affirmations. I am this, I am this, I am love, I am light, I am peace. But just be realistic. If you're in a state of depression, don't just start saying I am love, because the gap is too big. You have to kind of work your way up to it. Get to, maybe you just want to get to good at that point. And then get to good, and then see what you can see when you're from the vibration of good. You know?
Okay. So you're saying you like work your way up.
Well, yeah, you can use it to work it. And then if you keep using the I to get into, because we're all one. We're all a unity, and we're all there. I mean, but most people have an understanding of that, but they're not an experience of the oneness, because that's the state of realization and its own self-realization. You can work with the ego and use the state of I until there is no I, until you're feeling a sense of unity, until everything's one. So yes, you can use the affirmations, but understand the I is the ego.
Okay.
Like, that's when we start saying, like, I'm a big deal, you know. I understand that we do use I, and I use I, and we're all using I. Because
what I'm saying is like saying, like, you know, it maybe shifting something from like lack to, like, let's say like you're feeling lack, and then you shift it and you say I am abundance, and you kind of just put that out there, and you kind of start resonating with that.
If you can get from lack to abundance, but most people that's a difficult subject. Really, you just want to get to a more elevated state. It's more important, because if you're in an elevated state, you don't have to be specific what you're asking for. Everything from that vibration will make its way to you. A higher relationship, but if you're sitting there focusing on a relationship, you're in lack of a relationship. So you're probably going to meet somebody who else was in lack, because you're mirroring it. So if you are paying attention to abundance because you're in lack, but you know that you're in lack, you know, you haven't quite transitioned over, but you're not completely convinced yourself, you're still paying attention to lack. It doesn't really matter if you're trying to get there on a subject. It gets tricky, because you're probably on the subject because you're lacking something in that subject, and you're trying to create it. Yeah. Is this making sense?
It makes sense.
So you're trying to create it, but really none of that matters. The only thing that divine is after is a state of being. And if you can work yourself into a higher state of being, you can just be in a higher vibration. Then your mirrors that are around you are reflecting higher vibrational things, higher love interest, higher relationships, more abundance of what is exactly needed for you. You don't know what's best for you, but it doesn't matter, because some of the saints don't even have anything, you know. So you're going to be presented with a high vibration if you're holding a high vibration, and all of a sudden money and all that will be nothing compared to what you are experiencing now. Money is such a low target because it's a low, dense vibration. It's a dense vibration, and there's so much fear involved in it. So me personally, I think that you're holding your target very low if you're trying to get abundance in monetary value or in accumulation. Because if you can raise your vibration, you're going to draw in something much higher and much more rewarding than what you're focusing on as money. Because we think that we know what we want. We want more money. That's going to bring me happiness. But see, we're focusing on more money, abundance, because it's going to bring us happiness instead of focusing on happiness. So paying attention to the state of being, what your soul is after. Because that's why you want the money, because you think that the money is going to give you freedom. Why not focus on freedom and allow whatever comes? Because whatever comes is on a high vibration of freedom. Whatever comes to you, whatever makes you, well, you're going to have a relationship that has a lot of freedom in it. If you're in that vibration of love, you're going to receive it without looking for it. Everything's going to make its way to you. That your house of mirrors will change. All your mirrors that you're looking at will be in a high vibrational state. And then that's when you come into your equanimity and peace and joy. That's when you're living in it, when your house of mirror changes by what we are paying attention to. That's awareness.
Wow. Yeah, that's
long story short. That's awareness.
That's phenomenal. I mean, it's amazing, really. It's just bringing that awareness into how you're feeling can shift the reality.
Shift the reality. Pay attention to higher thoughts. Keep practicing it. Keep practicing the meditations. And I think that this is probably a good place to stop here today. And then anybody who has questions, just write them down in the chat, and we will meet again in one of these chats and talk about other subjects. And hopefully everybody gets value out of it. And because really, how many more meditations can I?
I made so many.
I made so many meditations.
They're so awesome. No, the meditations are amazing.
But yeah, people need to understand what's behind those meditations too. When I'm speaking, it's a movement that moves through me. And like even now, there's a movement. It's being a download moving through me. People call it all kinds of things, but I don't know if I want to give it a label. But there's a movement, a channeling, whatever you want to call it. There's a movement.
So that state of being is behind the meditations.
Behind vibrations. So if you're getting value from those vibrations and you're opening yourself up to it, it is a very divine vibration. The vibration itself in those meditations is like paying attention to your highest thought. It'll take you out of the more dense thoughts. It'll remove darkness. Because if you've ever put a bowl of water in a room and played a vibration to it, that water starts to vibrate and attune to the vibration. It's the same thing. You're mostly water. You know, we are made of vibration. So if you're getting like this downloaded vibration or these downloaded talks or these downloaded meditations, what's behind it, I can promise you it's very powerful, and I know that you've seen a lot of miracles through it.
Yeah, I've witnessed so many miracles at this point, and I'm just extremely grateful that you're putting this out for people, and I think people should really take advantage of these meditations and these talks as much as you can. Take as much as you can from it, because it's definitely coming from a high place.
And ask your questions, and we'll review the questions, and we'll do this again. You can just read the questions for what people ask. If nobody's even listening, we'll do them anyways. So
be it. Yeah.
So be it until something breaks. But if you're not going to be in the direct experience working with me, this is how I'm trying to get it out a little bit, and so I hope people get value out of it. There's not much for me to gain here other than just sharing. That's what my journey is, to get this information out. It's pointless to hold on to all this energy movement through me for myself.
For sure.
It's supposed to be shared. So that's what I'm doing at this point. I'm sharing what's coming through, and I guess that's it.
Well, I just want to say how grateful I am to you, Milani, and thank you for everything you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for listening, and please write your questions down. And I would like to say one thing about my channel is at right now I have 500 something subscribers when I started this, and I understand that the commercials are a nuisance to people. We should probably talk about the commercials.
Yeah, they are.
They will allow me to move my commercials once I get 1,000 subscribers to the front and to the end. But until that, I have to stick with wherever they stick them. But I guess it's what they call monetized, and I can't be monetized until 1,000. There's a partial monetization, but they don't let me move my commercials, and that's the real main goal here, is just to get the commercials out of there. I'm not trying to get rich off the YouTube channel. I'm just trying to get the information out there. If things start to cost me money, then eventually I'm gonna have to, because I am trying to build upon a temple So there are donations that I do accept for that, but other than that,
And then also you do one-on-ones with people as well.
I do one-on-ones with people for sure. Yeah.
Okay, that's important to highlight here too.
Yeah, the one-on-ones are very powerful because there's an energy exchange, and there is a big releases for people, and you've seen them. You've seen many of them.
I've seen people. Honestly, I've seen people open their hearts in a matter of minutes. It's like pure joy. I've seen pure joy come out of people in a matter of minutes. It's
total depression to a heavenly state within minutes.
I've witnessed so many of these at this point that I've witnessed so many miracles.
So thanks for everybody for listening and showing up today. Thank you. Namaste.
Namaste.